She's in the walls, Damien said, his voice flat as concrete. I set down my pen, studying his face. In 3 years of practice, I'd learned not to react immediately to shocking statements. Clients often spoke in metaphors or exaggerated for effect. Was this another delusion? Or had he finally crossed the line into something real? What do you mean by that, Damien? He leaned forward, eyes boring into mine. I killed her, bricked her body up behind the drywall in the old Meridian Plaza building. My blood chilled, but I kept my expression neutral. This was the same client who'd claimed to practice black magic, who insisted he could see people's auras. I'd gently challenged those beliefs in previous sessions, perhaps too directly. Tell me more about these dreams you've been having, I said, discreetly opening WhatsApp on my laptop. Client making concerning statements. Stand by for emergency protocol. Damien smiled, a cold, satisfied expression that made my skin crawl. Her name was Elise Carrington. She worked at the marketing firm on 5th Street. I watched her for months. He described his obsession with clinical detachment, how he'd learned her routines, followed her morning jogs, studied her like a specimen. The contempt in his voice when he spoke about her was visceral. She was evil, he said simply. Cruel to subordinates, manipulative, a bully. The word bully made him flinch, and I noted it. Childhood bullying trauma. So you decided to... I prompted, typing frantically to my clinic manager. Call police immediately. Client confessing to murder. I hit her with a brick during her 6 a.m. run on Elmwood Trail. No witnesses. Loaded her into my van. He spoke like he was describing a grocery run. Slit her throat in the basement of Meridian Plaza, then sealed her behind the wall I'd already prepared. The matter-of-fact delivery terrified me more than screaming would have. This wasn't a fantasy or cry for attention. This was a confession. But now she won't leave me alone, he continued, and for the first time, genuine fear crept into his voice. Every night, I hear scratching in my walls. She's trying to claw her way out. The door opened, and 2 officers entered quietly. Professional, controlled. They'd clearly done this before. As they cuffed him, Damien turned to me with that same cold smile. Thank you, Doctor, Evelyn Hayes. This went exactly as planned. The perfect frame requires the perfect therapist. The words hit me like ice water. As planned? At the police station, I gave a detailed statement about Damien's confession. The officers seemed satisfied, professional, a clean case. That night, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. His final words echoed, exactly as planned. I poured a large glass of wine and tried to rationalize it away. Around 2 a.m., I woke to a sound. Scratching. Soft but persistent, coming from inside my bedroom wall. Old house, I told myself. Mice, maybe. But my heart hammered as I pressed my ear to the drywall. The scratching was deliberate, rhythmic, like fingernails dragging across wood. I jerked away, hands shaking. The wine, the stress. I was imagining things. The phone rang at 7 a.m. Dr. Evelyn Hayes, this is Detective Nolan Pierce. We need you to come in for additional questioning. At the station, Nolan's expression was grim. How well did you know Elise Carrington? My stomach dropped. Elise? She was my supervisor 2 years ago at Brennan & Associates. Why? You worked under her for 8 months before quitting. Filed a complaint with HR about a hostile work environment. That correct? Yes, but... The pieces clicked into place with horrible clarity. She's the victim, isn't she? Nolan nodded. Damien Cross claims he's never heard of Elise Carrington. Says you hypnotized him during your session, implanted false memories. He's demanding we investigate you for her murder. That's impossible. I was conducting EMDR therapy, not hypnosis, and I barely knew where... I stopped. I had known exactly where to tell them to look for the body. Here's the problem, Doctor. Hayes. We can't find any connection between Damien and Elise. But you? You have motive, means, and... He slid a tablet across the table. A very interesting social media presence. The screen showed a Facebook account under my name, my photo. Post after post of barely veiled threats toward Elise, dating back 18 months. Cryptic references to toxic people getting what they deserve, and some problems solve themselves. "This isn't my account," I whispered. "It's been posting from your IP address for over a year. Same network as your home Wi-Fi." My Wi-Fi password. Wi-Fi password 123. The default I'd never bothered to change. Anyone could have accessed it from my street. The interrogation stretched for hours. My alibi was thin. A solo evening walk. No witnesses. No security footage. My doorbell camera had mysteriously malfunctioned that night. Everything pointed to me. Elise's brutal supervisor. My public complaints about her behavior. My detailed knowledge of where her body was hidden. The social media evidence painting me as someone consumed by revenge fantasies. But Damien? Clean record. No connection to Elise whatsoever. They released me pending further investigation, but I was finished. The story had leaked. Prominent therapist suspected of murdering former boss. My practice was destroyed overnight. That night, the scratching returned. Louder now, more frantic. I pressed my ear to the wall and heard something that made my blood freeze. Whispering. Evelyn. Evelyn ... Elise's voice. Weak. Desperate. He made you do it. He made you. He wore your smile while I died. You don't know what that feels like. I stumbled backward, hyperventilating. This was impossible. Guilt manifesting as auditory hallucinations, that was all. The stress was breaking my mind. But the voice continued, growing clearer. He's been planning this for years. Watching you. Studying you. Stop, I whispered to the empty room. The dreams will come next. You'll see what he made you do. That night I dreamed I was holding a brick, bringing it down on Elise's skull. I felt her blood splash my hands, heard her final gasping breath. In the dream, I was grinning. I woke screaming. Over the following weeks, the case built against me. They found my fingerprints on Elise's jacket, somehow. Security footage from a traffic camera showed my car on Elmwood Trail the morning she died, though I swear I was never there. Damien, meanwhile, had become the victim. Poor man, manipulated by his trusted therapist. He'd developed a following online, people who believed in the dangers of therapeutic malpractice. The dreams intensified. Each night, I lived through Elise's murder in vivid detail. But it wasn't memory. It felt like possession. Like something was using my sleeping mind to force me to experience what Damien had done. During one particularly vivid nightmare, I saw him clearly. Not committing the murder, watching it. Watching me do it. Though I knew with absolute certainty I'd never been there. The scratching in my walls grew constant. Elise's voice became a nightly companion, begging me to find the truth, to expose Damien. But who would believe a murder suspect claiming to hear her victim's ghost? I hired a private investigator with the last of my savings. What we found chilled me. Damien Cross had been stalking me for 3 years. Phone records showed he'd been receiving therapy from someone else, a hypnotherapist who specialized in what he called memory reconstruction. The PI found storage units rented under false names, containing detailed surveillance photos of both Elise and me. Maps of our routines, practice runs for the murder, documented meticulously. But most damning was the video equipment. High-end stuff capable of creating deepfake footage indistinguishable from reality. Digital forensics confirmed the footage had been synthesized. Pixel perfect, but fraudulent. The same technology used to place my car on Elmwood Trail. The night before my trial was set to begin, Elise's voice was clearer than ever. "He killed me twice," she whispered through the walls. "First my body, then my truth. Don't let him kill yours too." I found myself pressing my palms against the drywall, tears streaming down my face. "I don't know how to fight this. He's thought of everything." Not everything. He made one mistake. The scratching stopped. In the sudden silence, I heard something else. A different sound from within the wall. Electronics. The faint whir of a hard drive. Damien hadn't just been framing me. He'd been documenting everything, probably for some sick sense of completion. And he'd hidden his insurance policy in the one place he knew I'd never look, behind the walls where the voices came from. At 3 a.m., I tore into my bedroom wall with a crowbar. Inside, I found a small digital recorder and a hard drive containing 3 years of surveillance footage, planning documents, and most importantly, video of Damien practicing his hypnotized victim performance. The trial lasted 2 days. Damien's carefully constructed narrative crumbled when confronted with his own meticulous documentation of the frame job. He was convicted of first-degree murder and conspiracy. I was cleared of all charges, but Elise still visits me sometimes, her voice gentle now in the walls of my new apartment. Not haunting, grateful. We both survived Damien Cross, in our own ways. Some truths are worth scratching through hell to find. "She's in the walls," he said. And in the end, so was the truth.